believe that him waiting so long to make this decision could harm the
making
party?
any comments in the hallway about the fate of our nation. Okay?
Are you concerned whether or not he can win in November?
I think he can.
Do you believe he should run for re-election?
I'm not speaking English to you. I'm not going to be making any statements about any of that right now in the hallway.
Folks, it appears that Joe Biden has lost the confidence of very important people within his party. And when I say that, I'm not talking about some random Democrat congressman from Maine who is running in a swing district. No, I'm actually talking about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer themselves, and you have heard that right. And look, whatever way you want to spin this, it is not good news for Joe Biden for a number of reasons. I mean, practically speaking, you obviously always want to be running with a united party. So the former Speaker of the House and the current Senate Majority Leader being against you, probably not a good sign. But beyond that, I think I would also point out that if Joe Biden loses the institutional support of the Democrat Party, he loses everything, because that is the entire foundation that Joe Biden is built on. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm essentially saying that Biden is not Donald Trump or even Bernie Sanders, right? We're talking about independent people that, yes, they ran through a party, but they're sort of a larger than life figure. They have their own movement going, right? Bernie was that. He was anti-Democrat establishment. Trump was anti-Republican establishment. But in Joe Biden's case, he's not that. He's not the leader of some type of independent movement. He's not a populist. He is a tried and true career establishment politician. The guy was a Democrat senator for a million years, obviously Obama's VP, and that's all he has. So this is all to say, if Joe Biden loses the confidence and the institution of the Democrat Party, he has nothing to run on when it comes to November. He's not the type of guy who can salvage or come up with another way or just win it himself, okay, if that makes sense. So with that said, what exactly are we talking about? Well, first of all, today Nancy Pelosi was confronted by an ABC reporter in the halls of Congress on whether or not Biden would be the Democrat nominee. And check it out, she actually gave sort of a vague, somewhat ambiguous answer, which again, you know, you want to talk about losing confidence here. I'm not saying Nancy Pelosi is going to be voting for Trump, but you would hope she gives a little bit more genuine of an answer than this. Take a listen.
Do you believe that him waiting so long to make this decision could harm the party?
Any comments in the hallway about the fate of our nation. Okay?
Are you concerned whether or not he can win in November?
I think he can.
Do you believe he should run for re-election?
I'm not speaking English to you. I'm not going to be making any statements about any of that right now in the hallway.
Wow, so very interesting and ambiguous answers there from Nancy Pelosi. If you had a hard time hearing, this was what was said. So Pelosi said, "I'm not making any comments in the hallway about the fate of our nation." But that's obviously not true, because the reporter follows up, are you concerned whether or not Biden can win in November? Pelosi says, "I think he can win in November." So clearly that's not the case. But anytime she was being asked about the future of Joe Biden or whether or not he's going to be the Democrat candidate, Pelosi, a notice here, giving ambiguous answers. The reporter follows up and asks, "Do you think he should run for re-election?" Pelosi says, "Am I speaking English to you? I'm not going to be making any statements about any of that right now in the hallway," which you would think, you know, I get it. You know, you got to talk to the press and whatnot, but should be very straightforward, because I was told, at least by Biden and his campaign, that, hey, Joe Biden's going to be the Democrat nominee. No questions asked. Stop all this talk about him dropping out or being replaced. But you can obviously see here, Nancy Pelosi is not going along with that memo from the Biden campaign. So this could mean one of two things. Either number one, they really do plan on replacing Biden in the end, which I still have my doubts on, because they got to do it soon, right? But it's possible. Okay, so that's number one, and maybe that's something Pelosi knows. Or number two, and I think this is also a strong possibility, she just doesn't care. like at this point, like I said in the beginning of the video, Democrat institutional power has given up confidence. They've given up faith. They're just not really willing to defend Biden that vehemently now, is sort of sending her own message here by saying, I'm not going to defend super strongly this idea of Biden staying in the race. So again, Democrat civil war, and I will reiterate, if you are Joe Biden, you know, it's one thing for Donald Trump to be beefing with Mitch McConnell or Paul Ryan because Trump is anti-establishment. Trump is his own guy. He's a figure larger than the Republican Party. But if you're Joe Biden, again, the Democrat Party as an institution, and I would add, by the way, the mainstream media are all you have. That's what Biden is built on. That's the only reason Biden exists in the first place. So if you lose both of those, which equally he's clearly lost the support of the media, again, not good news for Joe Biden. And folks, it gets worse because according to Axios, it is not just Nancy Pelosi that is raising doubts by somewhat undermining Joe Biden both publicly and privately. Apparently, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is also in on this. He is now telling donors that he is open to replacing Biden as the Democrat nominee. Schumer initially did come out saying he fully supported keeping Biden, which, by the way, if you really read into what he said there, it was basically the Pelosi answer that, like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I support Biden. You know, it wasn't this long speech about how great he is and how dare you say this, like, I support the candidate. So again, weak answer he gave supporting Biden to begin with. But anyways, let's read here from this Axios article and check out what it has to say. So here we go. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is privately signaling to donors that he is open to a Democrat presidential ticket that isn't led by Biden, Axios has learned. The majority leader is one of a handful of Democrats, including former President Obama and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who has the political and personal standing to convince Biden to step aside. But even so, Biden can still dig in, and the delegates are pledged to him, which seems to be what is happening at the moment, but obviously things can change on that front. So apparently what Axios is being told is that both before and after the debate, Schumer's famous flip phone burned up with donors sharing their views, and Schumer has been listening. Schumer hasn't indicated who, if anyone, might be a more viable candidate than Biden, a man he served in with the Senate, but his focus is on defeating former President Trump and retaining the Democrat majority in the Senate. In addition to donors, he's also receiving feedback from his fellow senators. By the way, that's a very important thing I will note. I've said it in the past, but I'll say it again. I think a big reason perhaps you are seeing congressional and Senate Democrats kind of undermine Biden or try to distance themselves away from Biden is largely in an attempt to save themselves, because I think what a lot of these Democrat candidates are seeing is, hey, if I tie my political career to the sinking ship that is the current president, that might screw me over. I might lose in November. So maybe I'm better off, if not disavowing Biden, at least distancing from him enough to where I can try to get by and still win this election. So ultimately, I think you're seeing a lot of Democrats here start to get selfish and self-interested about their intentions. And so I think that's also true with Chuck Schumer. And you see here Axios pointing out, yeah, as the Senate Majority Leader, what is his real goal? It's retaining the Democrat majority. So obviously he wants to stop Trump, but if Biden is not going to get out of the way, what is Schumer thinking about? The Senate majority. What is Pelosi thinking about? The House majority. And they're starting to say, okay, these things may be more important than trying to elect the sinking ship of Biden at this point. Driving the news, apparently Biden's command to lawmakers to end the talk of replacing him has not been heeded, and that is very true. Axios notes that today, Pelosi openly suggested that Biden should reconsider his decision. It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run, Pelosi said on MSNBC's Morning Joe. The time is running short. Again, that's the answer you give as one of the top leaders in your party? Not, no, he's our candidate, shut down the talks. No, she's going out there and saying, well, he's got to make that decision. That's crazy. Folks, like, that is absolutely wild. But you can see here A rift, a civil war in the Democrat Party clearly already going on. We'll just have to see what ultimately ends up happening. This afternoon, Democrat Representative Pat Ryan became the 8th House Democrat to call for Biden to step out of the race. So yeah, folks, this is apparently what is currently going on in the Democrat Party. Truly, what else can I say other than that it is a rapidly sinking ship? However, at the same time, despite the fact that Obama, Schumer, Pelosi, all of these top powerful characters are very obviously at this point trying to get Biden to drop out. Even look at the things they're saying publicly. You can see what they're trying to say there. With that all in mind, the signs are currently pointing to Biden possibly not dropping out, right? Because he continues to double down. He's kind of becoming a sitting duck in his own party in a way, because he refuses to leave that White House. You know, Jill Biden, you know, Hunter Biden are saying, stay in, Joe, stay in, Joe. Every time Joe Biden goes on TV, he says, look, Jack, I'm staying in the race. Don't even worry about it. But it just gets so interesting because you may remember that last week on MSNBC, Joe Biden called out the quote unquote party elite. Remember this? He said, I'm so tired of these party elites trying to take me out of the race. Basically an admission that people within the Democrat Party are trying to replace him. But apparently, you know, when you first heard this, you might have thought those party elites were donors. Maybe they were staffers, you know, the Democrat consultant class. No, it turns out apparently that was code language for the fact that it is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Obama. Those are the party elites who are trying to take him out of the race. So let's take a listen and kind of have a flashback to this.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for 2 reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
Now that we have the context of today's developments with Pelosi and Schumer, those words in that interview really means a lot more, doesn't it? Very interesting there. Okay, so with that said, folks, I would love to hear your thoughts on what you ultimately think is going on here and will end up happening, right? So obviously it's established that there's a full-on Democrat civil war, and it doesn't just involve a few Democrats from swing districts or something like that. No, it is directly between Pelosi, Schumer, Obama, and Joe Biden and the Biden family. That's what's going on. So with that said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think wins in the end? Does Joe Biden dig in? Will he ultimately be the Democrat nominee still? And personally, by the way, I still kind of lean towards that happening. Or do you think maybe the Pelosi, Schumer, Obama coalition is enough internally in the Democrat Party to get something to change last minute? Again, let me know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. But until next time, God bless, Alpha moves only, and peace.